Hey, what's good, family? Thanks for clicking on another Bite Down Boxing video. I'm the host of the Bite Down Boxing podcast, the the only man working over at bitedownboxing.com right now, and contributor to some other websites. And obviously, the past week we've had the Anthony Joshua's touchdown in the U.S. with the press conferences going on for his fight June 1st against Darrell Big Baby Miller. And I'm just sitting back kind of watching what's going on. Obviously, I can't make it out to all of this stuff for different reasons. But I'm struggling with some of the criticism behind this move, and it's just like, when do fans want to be willfully ignorant, and when do you want to keep it a buck? And I think, like I said on the podcast before, I think for those people that are Team Wilder or pro Wilder, you could celebrate, that Wilder and the rematch looming with Fury, that it pushed Team Joshua off of his square, and now we get the fight Darrell Miller, here at Madison Square Garden, planned for June 1st. You could have celebrated that, but nothing is never enough. And some people wanted to interpret that as a sign of weakness or whatever. I felt like it's a good move. I felt like it's a great move. And while Darrell Miller might not be the opponent that we wanted, in some respects, it's a viable option. It's probably the optimal choice. Because let's be real, we all want the major fight, which is Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. And maybe B or 1A might be Tyson Fury, depending on where you might be with the result of that first fight. And that draw decision, really is a major linchpin in this whole thing, because we deserved to be in a different situation right now in the build up to the fight that everybody wants to see. But so no. They didn't go with Dillian White. That was intentional, I thought. They were trying to make the fight with Wilder. But of course Wilder wants to be in control of what he's doing, and was rightfully trying to make the rematch, which is now in jeopardy because of Tyson Fury's move over to Top Rank and ESPN. I'll get to that in another video. But I felt like Hearn and Matchroom were negotiating in good faith and trying to make the fight. The offer was sent over. I think they bumped it up to 60-40. Supposedly there was a rematch in there, But like I said, Wilder wanted to call his own shots. And I feel like now we're all learning that between Warren and Fury, that maybe they weren't negotiating in good faith. And now we are where we are. So Joshua is over here now. Press conference moving forward with Miller. You might say Luis Ortiz deserved a shot, maybe. But nobody was concerned. Nobody was screaming for when the only man that was really calling Deontay Wilder out was Dillian White. A couple of fights ago, after the Lucas Brown fight, I believe, and maybe one before that. But when he was adamant about fighting Deontay Wilder, nobody that was pro Wilder was screaming for him to get that fight. But now you're screaming for him to have gotten this fight against Joshua. That's kind of funny. Like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend in practice right there. Cool. But again, I think Matchroom and Eddie Hearn and Joshua are trying to get to the big fight. And let's keep it funky. If you are a major attraction, Floyd did it for years. Canelo does it when necessary. It gets done time and time again in boxing. You make the fights that keep the story rolling to the major conclusion, the major drama. So, yeah, that's why we have Miller here. But like I said, I think he's a viable option. He probably doesn't win that fight. He makes it interesting. He was going to drive the promotion. You saw him shove the man yesterday at the within the last 48 hours. You saw him shove him at the press conference. And Joshua gets to play bad cop. He gets the headlines. He's going to say all the wrong right stuff or the right wrong stuff. And Joshua doesn't have to come out of his character whatsoever. Matchroom and DAZN had they've invested money and time in with Selita Promotions, and the other cat, Cohen, I believe, is now another part of that three-headed entity over there. So, again, like I said, many of us who don't eat for a living, entering that ring and putting men into that ring, supporting and backing men as they go into that ring and getting all the business stuff in order, all the business affairs in order, it's easy to sit on here in front of these cameras and these mics and criticize these guys for everything that they do, just because. But if you're running the business and this is how you're feeding your family and you're growing your organization, you're paying other parts of your organization, money has to trickle down to the prospects, to the mid-level guys, the Cheesemans of the world, and you got other stuff, you got other irons in the fire. They know what they're doing on some levels. And it may not get you to what you want as a fan immediately. As we see that now with Fury and Arum coming in and saying, nah, we might cook that a little bit longer. It's not quite that rematch ain't right now. So, like I've said before on the podcast, I don't know how much you insert yourself in your demands and expectations. I don't really know what that really means in the big scheme of things. Because on Sunday morning, when these fights are over, you're on stating your next expectation for fighter, unrealistic expectation of fighter A or fighter B or whatever. It never ends. But all of these guys, they got stuff, they got obligations, they got, things have to be in order. So anyway, now that I've been on my soapbox a little bit, like I said, I think Joshua is doing well. I'm trying to work on some articles right now, breaking some of this stuff down. $6.5 million is reported for the package for Darrell Miller. Shout out to him for seeing his thing through. Shout out to him, like I said, for playing his role in this promotion. And it just comes down to fight night, making this thing, putting forth the performance, maybe even pulling the upset if possible. But shout out to that dude for getting it in, for pulling this thing off, getting that bag. So with Joshua though, and I'll get into some of these posts later, accounting his, acquitting himself pretty well with the introduction to America. I'm checking him out now on the Breakfast Club. I saw him on Sway in the Morning. Where else was he? I think he was at the Stock Exchange. I think it's been a pretty successful visit. I think they're heading back to London now for one, or maybe that was today. Like I said, I'm a little behind in a couple different things. But salutes to everybody involved, man. I mean, like I said, we got to sit out here and find a problem to every solution that these guys try to create to keep the ball rolling and the business of boxing humming. And I don't see much to gripe about here. Where I'm at, almost 10 minutes. So I got some other stuff. Like I said, I'm sitting here now putting together some thoughts on some pieces I want to post up, some different points I want to make. But I think, because I think it's a lot of parallels between Joshua and Deontay Wilder and some of the messaging that I see. But some of us aren't mature enough, or we aren't willing to break away from the hive think and kind of form our own opinions. And some of us are still stuck on this 50 million thing, from a year ago or whatever. But we'll see. Like I said, I think it's a good movement. I mean, a good move. If you look across in a diverse outlets with different agendas, a diverse amount of agendas. It's being accepted by some of the people that are a little bit more reasonable and realistic, about how things go down in the business. Like I said, it's funny now that we make demands that he fight. I don't know. You're shocked that he came to America. Like, seriously, I tried to tell people after the Fury fight that April 13th at Wembley, that date was in jeopardy as a result of the buzz from the first fight and that the controversial decision and whatnot. But anyway, I don't need to pat myself on the back. Just want to, I just wanted to weigh in on a couple of things, and I like what I'm seeing. Peace. I'm out.